folks, you're watching Frankie Lee Makes. My name's Kirsty and this is your Scrunchie tutorial. Let's get stuck in with our first tutorial, which is a super simple scrunchie. So, here's your scrunchie. I've chosen to use the elephant fabric because it's got this fantastic elephant repeat. It's really vibrant, it's really fun, and maybe, who knows, psychologically it'll help us never forget what we learn when we're at school. Okay, so here goes. We are going to cut along with the elephants. It's almost like having a little cheat because our repeat pattern is on a straight line. Top tip, make sure that your repeat pattern is actually on a straight line. Sometimes it can look like it is, and in reality it's slightly off and it will skew your products. Cutting and pressing are so important. If you get those bits right, actually the sewing is just like magic. Okay, we're going to go for a 12 centimetre width, and like I said, I'm going to use the elephants just to take a nice straight line straight across that fabric. If you're not so confident with cutting out, I would recommend scissors. You're less likely to go wrong with a pair of scissors so long as you just take your time. It's always helpful to have a pair of scissors on hand as well, just in case there's those little bits that don't want to come away. So we'll get rid of the excess fabric, and there's plenty left there for you to do your pencil case or your drawstring pouch tutorial, which is also available to you on the Made by You parcel service. Okay, so what we're going to do is right sides together, which means we can see the outside of the fabric. We're just going to line that up, folding it roughly in half, and then we're going to pin right along. If you're really competent and you just want to get stuck in, you could potentially do this without pinning, assuming that your cutting has been straight. But like I said, you know, cutting and pressing is so important. If we do the prep stuff right, the sewing up bit is just like magic. So I would prefer to pin. It's all pinned up, and now what we want to do is start sewing. We're going to use the first line, the first guideline on your sewing machine beside your boot, and just making sure that we've kept our thread out to the left. We're just going to slowly follow that line, remembering to reverse the first few stitches just to lock them in, almost acting like a knot. We're just going to take our time, removing the pins as we go. It's good practice to remove your pins as you go. You don't want to break a needle because you've hit metal. We don't need more than a 1/4 inch seam because there's not going to be a lot of tension on these seams. And that's us. So we basically have a tube that is the wrong way, and so what we want to do is reverse it. And this is just a little bit fiddly. If you've got a safety pin or something, that might make it a little bit quicker for you, but ultimately what you're doing is just turning it outside in or inside out. So now what we're looking for is that piece of elastic that came with your Made by You kit. Here we go. So that piece of elastic that came with your Made by You parcel, and put it through our tube, and I find that this width is ample for me to scrunch up using my finger. So here we go. That's us through, and then we're just going to pull the elastic together and tie a nice tight knot in the end of that. And practically got a scrunchie already. So next step is to fold under one raw edges, and if you can, try and get that a neat kind of fold all the way around, give it a little press in. Depending on what type of fabric you might use, it'll be easier or harder. And then once we've got that, we're going to tuck the other side in. And if you can, you want to try and match the seam. It just means that the scrunchie will sit neater . Then we are just simply going to sew that closed. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam again. So just that first line on your sewing machine beside the sewing foot. Keep your thread out to the left. There you go. Easy as that. And we're just going to trim our threads. Another scrunchie. Now I have two, maybe I should wear bunches. Anyway, I hope you found that really easy to follow. I'd love your feedback, and I'd love to see you wearing your scrunchies that you've made all by yourself.